place, I still see your face, and I hear your voice down in my soul.
He was one of the finest young men that I had ever met.
Fortunately, I found a person on the campus of Bethune-Cookman College. Her name was Helen W. Williams. Excuse me, Helen Carolyn Williams.
We met at Bethune-Cookman College in the registration line.
At that time, she had another boyfriend. I was unable to send shrimp upstairs as a boyfriend did at that time.
He was wearing, unlike many of the other young men, a collar and tie and a coat. And he was known as Bronson, not as Oswald, but as Bronson.
She was a person of character, extremely beautiful, I thought, physically, and others did too. And above all, she was a person who seemed to have had a heart of compassion for persons.
He was very devout in his Christian commitment and was going to eventually, I knew, be a wonderful minister. In 1949, I believe it was, we were in our chapel service, and our president, Dr. Richard V. Moore, said, "I have a special announcement to make this morning."
Dr. Moore, the president, then announced that I had been given a church.
For the first time at Bethune-Cookman College, we have a young student who will be our first student to be given an appointment to pastor a church. Then he had Oswald Bronson to stand.
My wife and a lot of other girls were commending me when I came out. She says, "Congratulations, Mr. Bronson. Do you need someone to help you keep the parsons clean?" I said, "Thank you, Ms. Williams." and so that was in jest, and I enjoyed it. And I always walked around with my Bible. And so she'd been keeping parsons clean for a long time, and presidents' homes.
So I've been through small churches. I've been through medium-sized churches with him. I've been through larger churches. I've been in churches that didn't have a choir. And I had to take on that responsibility.
So somehow God drops angels into your life. And she came to me as that angel of light, that angel of integrity, that angel of irresistible charisma, for which I am eternally, immeasurably grateful.
We had had a little relationship, not a love, quote, love relationship, but it had come through a situation that he found himself in as it related to an illness he had.
I had to go in the hospital upon my graduation with a very serious disease.
And I just would go visit with him.
I thought I was going to marry somebody else. This young lady and I had talked about it. But then, on the day of visits, the other young lady did not show, but, oh, who comes in? Helen W. Bronson. Excuse me, Williams. And she walked in and with another boyfriend at that time, and continued to come to see me and to bring literature to feed my mind and my religious life, and as well as to give encouragement to the other patients who were in the hospital at that time. I was in the hospital for over a year, and so she was there almost every visiting hour. I think out of a great sense of mission rather than any romantic interest. But somehow I would lie in the bed and look at her. I said, I'm kind of liking this lady. She has not only physical attraction, but also she has certain talents and abilities that will certainly reinforce my goals in life. and hopefully I could reinforce hers. And what has happened?
And when he was well enough to go to his home, where he was planning to go anyway, I took him to the bus station. See, he didn't have train fare. So I took him to the bus station, and he asked me.
No great romance. No, we would not make any show in the movie. I just said, I'd like to put a ring on your finger, Miss Williams. And she said, don't make it too fancy.
All of a sudden, I realized I had really learned enough about him not to say no. All I had to say was, because I realized that his funds were near nil. And I said, don't make it too flashy. I didn't want to make him feel bad. I knew he didn't have the money to buy a ring that he felt like would be good for me, or good enough.
And I went off to work at my new job, and when we corresponded, and then we got ready to marry, I came back and we married. And I found in her that the reinforcement, the support, a person who could type, who could play the piano. Music was one of her majors in college, and she directed many of my choirs in my churches. And during my dissertation days, she typed my dissertation, many of my papers, and sometimes type all night long. I'll snooze off, and my goodness, she's there typing. And so when I received my PhD, she reminded me she deserved half of it.
Before caring became a popular word, he was that. He was a person who believed devoutly in a strong prayer life. And it has been like that from day one. And it helps us both to be believers.
Our children were able to grow up in a home where she prepared for them. They would come home not to a mailbox but to a mother. She was a person who took great delight in seeing the children look good, and also to meet me at the airport so many of my return trips. I can see them now as I get off the plane and walking towards the reception area, how each of them would run towards me and lift up their hands, and I would feel so proud to see my children, and then look over then see my irresistible, attractive partner, the wife of my dreams.
We have stayed linked together in his absence. And he has always made it a point to stay in touch, not just with me, but with each one of our children. And that has been very, very important. No matter where he was in the world, whether he could pay for the call or not, he called. And he spoke with all of us. And I think that sort of caught up with other people. It caught other people's attention, let me put it like that. And as a pastor, it is natural that they would be observant. And they were good observations.
When we married, we were convinced that either she would look me in the face in the casket, or vice versa. We took seriously that part of the vow that says, until death do we part. So to have that kind of belief in each other and in the faithfulness that each brings to the marriage, to me are essential ingredients. The fact that no one is a boss, although she treats me with great favoritism, for which I'm grateful, but at the same time we understand that leadership is shared. There are some areas where she's by far more equipped to be effective for the home than I am. And there may be one or two areas where I may be of some strength. But shared leadership I insisted that we have that. And then I would not allow my children to disrespect her. They knew that. And they had to not only respect her, but to follow in her footsteps.
He's an excellent father, very respectful person. He doesn't assume that because we are married, he can take advantage of me in terms of not being respectful. And this, I think, has had a lot to do with the respect that I feel like I get from our children. I feel that way. I think that in those times when I perceive that he's just overwhelmed, just be there. Sometimes no conversation, or maybe just a word, which may, even if it isn't very comforting at the time, it's a word that says to him, I think I understand what you're experiencing. Would you like for me to help you? Is there anything that I can do? That's the end of that.
The first thing at home, I feel I have support. If I come in and I'm struggling with a decision or with some problems, and I'm in deep thought, she is there to surround me with a kind of support that will help me work through those problems. Not necessarily talk to me about it, but just being there. Not only with her words, but with her heart. I always know that whenever I come home, she will be there, you know. Or if not, I'll know where she is, or she'll know where I am. I never go any place unless I tell my wife where I am. I'm in a hotel, what room I'm in, and if she chooses to come, she don't have to call me. She can come on, and I'll be there.
Without sounding unreal or untruthful, he's the person whom God made for me. I believe that. And he has made that so true and real in my life. I shudder to think sometimes what it would have been like had I not been blessed to have his love and him as a husband to me and the father to our children. It's been wonderful.
She certainly has been not only a foundation, but a leaning post. She has been the one that we could always depend upon, because the foundation was strong, well equipped, reared in a very fine home with sound, solid, magnificent Christian values. And with all of those values, let me tell you, she had the character that also reinforced the foundation of her life, which also was shared with us. When I recognized that I came from a sick bed, almost at the point of death, to where I am now, I must give gratitude to God for his mercies. It did not happen with human strength alone. It certainly was made possible by a power greater than the human. And that power has sustained us throughout these years and made the marriage wholesome and provided for me a sense of fulfillment that's indescribable in human language.
That I'm